Well, good morning and welcome to our Power Breakfast interview this morning. Now, the Orange Democratic Party seems to be a party on the spot, limping from one crisis to another, one contest to another. That seems to suggest that the party, all is not well within the party. Yesterday, the party met in some sort of crisis gathering presided over by the party leader, prompted by the ongoing saga of Ababu Namwamba. Well, Ababu seems to have lent several people his mouth, or to be having several spokespersons. One group met to champion his rights. Another, which met under the party leader, came out to say that everything is well. Ababu Namwamba did not speak. So today, we want the party spokesperson, the Secretary General, Professor Anyang'Nyong'o, to speak for all those factions and the party. Professor, karibu.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Very interesting intro.
So speaking for the party, what is going on within the party? Is the party united, or is the party looking frail, falling apart?
No, the party is very united. You know, even in a family, it is very normal for families to have quarrels, to have differences and so on. But finally, the father brings everybody together and said, you said this, you said this. But this, as head of the family, this is what I'm saying is going to happen. And life continues. It's not really unusual that you have disagreements in parties, in families, in companies, in whatever. But in the final analysis, yes, somebody must bring people together and say, look, things should be this way. And I think that's
so
what happened
that
yesterday.
seems to be an admission that all is not well, but there is sort of suppression of dissent, that differences of opinion or views that are persisting within the party, and it's taking the party leaders' authority in hand to contain them.
Well, if there was suppression of dissent, then we would not have had yesterday's meeting. If there was suppression of dissent, then the members of parliament who met in parliament yesterday and spoke would not have spoken.
But Namwamba did not speak?
Well, Namwamba did not speak, but that is because we had had a discussion, and it was agreed that the party leader would pronounce the decision. So that meeting, that is what is called party discipline.
So what happened in the case of Namwamba? Get us the facts according to
what happened behind
what happened. First of all, Namwamba was reported to have said a couple of things about the party. You know, I cannot even quote because they have been denied that he didn't say those things he said about the party leader and about the party's ability to champion the referendum, given its own failure to hold an election, internal election. What eventually transpired yesterday?
You have to have faith and trust in the party leader. And if I was to sit here and tell you what happened at our meetings, I would not be Secretary General of the party, because that means that I would discuss internal party discussions. And the Royal Media is not a member of the party.
Royal Media is a member of the public, and the public
is the public mouthpiece.
And the public is interested in the party's welfare.
We are telling the public, yes, we had discussions. Finally, we made a decision, and we communicated the decision to the public. And I'm sure that the public were happy about the decision that the party leader communicated yesterday. As Secretary General, I was very happy. And let me assure you that I'm going to have lunch today with Ababu Namwamba. If after our lunch, you want me to come back and discuss with you, I'm quite ready to come back.
We're going to invite Ababu Namwamba to come and say it.
Oh, sure.
Why was it not necessary for Ababu to speak?
Because we had decided that only one person would speak. That was the party leader. Most of us could have spoken, not just Ababu Namwamba. You see, Ababu Namwamba is not speaking for Ababu Namwamba. Ababu Namwamba is speaking for and on behalf of the party, because, you know, at the caretaker committee that I currently head, Ababu and Zani are my deputies. And therefore, if I was there, I was, the party leader could have spoken, I could have spoken, and Ababu and Zani could have spoken, but we decided only that one person speaks.
Why are you having a caretaker committee?
Because, no. Because you see, after the elections that didn't take place, the governing council decided that before we decide on the leadership, there should be a committee that is taking care of party matters, because there can't be a vacuum, you see. Somebody must continue to run the party on a day-to-day basis. Decisions must be made until such time that...
Some ODM members feel that you need to have elections sooner than yesterday. We
feel, even me, I feel we need to have elections not just sooner than yesterday, but the day before yesterday.
Yes. Then what's
but you see, but you see, the thing is that, you know, if party matters are not that easy. I mean, we can sit here and pontificate, but you know, you have to consult so many constituencies. You know, there are people who feel strongly that there should not be elections. There are people who feel strongly, like I do, that there should have been elections the day before yesterday. There are some who feel strongly that the referendum is more important than anything else. Let's put everything on the back burner, have the referendum, then we can come to the elections after that. There are people who say that, look, why is the ODM the only party who is in a hurry to have elections? Other parties have not even had basic elections. At least the ODM had elections for the women, Orange Women Democrats, and we concluded that in 2012. We had elections for Orange Young Democrats. That was concluded. We had all grassroots elections. The only thing that was left was the national elections. So look, we are doing very well. I mean, if we had problems for the national elections in March, well, look, let's take a break. So you see, you have to discuss with all these constituencies and come with a compromise that is satisfactory to everybody. Now, that kind of thing, you can sit here and say you haven't had elections. I mean, you can pontificate, but you are not sitting the seat where I'm sitting or the party leader is sitting. So you don't know how hot it is. So I'm just appealing to you that, look, you remember, there was one time after Mboya died, Kanu never had elections for 18 years.
Which was illegal, of course.
Which was terrible. Yes. But ours only since March.
But when are elections due within the party, according to statute, or the Orange Constitution?
The elections were, actually, to tell you the truth, within our Constitution, the election can be held any time this year.
Okay.
Any time this year. In fact, Ababu Namwamba himself told us, me and the party leader, that we shouldn't have elections when we did. He thought that we should wait. It is me and the party leader who insisted. There are a lot of people who didn't want to have the party when we did, but we insisted. One of the reasons why we insisted, because according to me, I thought that the earlier we have them, the better. For one, because speaking personally, I wanted to see my successor come in much faster, because I feel that during these 5 years, I should be in a position to have a successor whom I mentor, have time to tell him or her the kind of experiences I've gone through the last 10 years. Let us work together because we want to build an institution. That was my feeling. But I think maybe that we had it too much. So what we have been saying, okay, maybe we were wrong to push this thing too early. Let's now take our time and cultivate people, talk to the branches and make sure that when we do it properly. But you see, we also know that we have fifth columnists who are doing their own thing. Yeah, there are people pushing, have elections. They have their own agenda.
Yes.
You must know that. Yes. So they want us again to do it when we are not prepared. And to tell you the truth, I have developed a thick skin for fifth columnists.
Now, what happened to investigations about who disrupted the election? Yesterday, there are some people who said, we organized, and Ababu knew. Now, what happened to those investigations?
Forget those fellows. I know better. I know better, and I'm the Secretary General.
Yes.
And I know that we have done investigations. And like all investigations, a party must have its intelligence wing.
Yes.
A party is like a state. There are certain things which are sirikali. Sirikali.
Yes.
If you don't have a sirikali, you can't run an organization.
That's
even
right.
Royal Media.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But what was the findings?
We can't give you the findings.
No,
the findings.
You can't say you can't give us. This is a spectacle.
Hold on.
First, let me clarify why I must ask for these findings. One, this was a spectacle in the public. Everybody saw it. Two, Orange Democratic Movement is not a secret society. It's a political party, a public organization. Yeah. So there cannot be secrets about matters which happen in the public, which actually almost are criminal.
Look, The government of Kenya is a public organization. Parliament is a public organization. But when something goes wrong in the Parliament or government of Kenya, an investigation is carried out.
Yes.
The government decides when that is made public, isn't it? So you can't bully me.
But it has to make public at one point.
We will make it public at one point, but
it
not
cannot
now.
be Serikali.
No, but you can't. This is not the place I'm going to make it public.
Right.
First of all, the report must be taken to the governing council. It has not been taken to the governing council.
Why not?
Okay.
Well, I mean, that is not for me to tell you. I know why, but I'm not going to tell you.
That is going to be understood to be arrogance, that this party wants to run things in its own style.
I don't mind being...
You don't find that you owe the public a certain explanation on why this has not happened, why it should...
No, we owe the public. We owe the public, definitely. I didn't say we don't owe the public.
Yes.
But we owe the public to give this thing to the public timelessly, at a certain time in history.
But what do you say about
that time is coming very soon. Very, very soon, I'm telling you.
Yes.
That time is coming very soon. And when it comes, you will be very satisfied. You will be very happy.
Okay. And I'm asking what would you say about those people yesterday who said, we did it, and Ababu knew? You are telling me to ignore. Why should I ignore? They are your members.
Bwana Yesu asifiwe. I'm glad they said that, because then they make our work easier. The public has at least known some of the people organizing, which is very fine.
Prof, that is not...
I know you are not satisfied,
yes,
but I
absolutely.
knew I was coming here to satisfy you and not to satisfy you, because I'm not...
Okay, so the results, the investigation was concluded.
Yeah.
What would be your response to somebody who thinks there's an attempt by the party to cover up the investigations, which is a common allegation or charge leveled against the government?
Yeah, I mean, that is quite possible. I'm concerned about that, and obviously when the result is out, we shall satisfy that person.
Isn't it in the interest of the party to have this results, a report published quickly, the findings out quickly, and action taken quickly, so that the image of the party can benefit from it, because it continues to dog you? Even when you ask for a referendum, you ask for all these things we are saying, but when you say dissolve the IEBC, they say but. Fine. Doesn't it concern you that this is a matter of urgency?
I mean, I spend sleepless nights thinking about it, obviously. I'm very sensitive about it, and I really, I wish I could do it here. I wish. But then you see, it is not that easy. There are a lot of things involved. And this is why I'm telling you, you really must also take a step backwards and imagine yourself on my seat. And imagine yourself with all these concerns and pressures of running this big national popular party with so many interests, wanting so many different things to be done. And I really wish I could do that. And I feel for the public. I feel for the public. This party, they love this thing that happened. It hurt me that day. You remember when it happened?
Yes.
I was really pained. I said, we are just about the verge of a big victory. And the devil comes and snatches this thing from our hands. This is just terrible. And I've been carrying that burden up to now. And quite honestly, it's a burden I would like to put at the cross, the bottom of the cross of Jesus. Let it rest there.
Yeah. Professor is getting saved right away. The question is, you have set up what is called a caretaker committee, which you are leading. Okay, what is your position effectively? Because you are no longer Secretary General.
No.
You relinquished that before the elections.
Yeah, I did.
So you're not Secretary General.
No. I did, but unfortunately, my relinquishing the thing was not consummated because we didn't elect a Secretary General. If I had given my final speech and I was waiting now to shake the hands of the person who was elected, and my hand was left in the air. I never shook a hand. So I can't take my hand away.
Yeah. So it's still waiting there.
So I'm still waiting to shake that hand.
The recipient.
So in the meantime, the law requires me that until the president is elected and I hand over, I have to take care of the responsibility. That's why I'm called a caretaker committee, because I'm still Secretary General, but on a caretaker basis. And I'm waiting anxiously for me to shake that hand and hand over the instruments of Office of Secretary General to the next person. And I have two people next to me, Babu Namwamba and Agnes Zani. Both of them are very qualified. And as soon as we sort out these problems, one of them will step in that seat.
The question is that, in fact, the handover, you're going to hand over to somebody on a negotiated arrangement. There's a list that the party is trying to work out so that this matter can be solved amicably, so the party can have peace, unity, and go forward.
Yeah.
When is this list going to be concluded? The one that came out seems to be not the final one.
You see, it could have been concluded yesterday, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, as soon as, remember when the Secretary General, when the party leader came back, we had a retreat in Mombasa with both sides of the contest, and we agreed on what to do, and we agreed on a process of consultation to take place so that that can be finalized. It is that process of consultation that has been going on. And I'm afraid it has taken longer than it should. One of the reasons why it took longer is because the issue of referendum came in, and we spent a lot of time on this campaign trail for the referendum. And then we said, okay, let's go to Sabasaba and finish Sabasaba before we do this. So things intervened in the process of concluding this thing. It's not as if we didn't want to do it earlier. It's just the activities the party has been involved in that has made it.
So do we expect this in the next 1 month?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
1 month?
Oh, yeah, very soon, very soon.
Which means what? That you are going to have a list of people in the party hierarchy without elections?
No, 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 my friend. You know, if you read the constitution of the party very carefully, you'll find that in the event that the National Delegates Congress does not do something, the responsibility is handed over to the Governing Council. The Governing Council is a body that is capable of carrying out the duties of the National Delegates Congress in between the National Delegates Congress meetings. And the National Delegates Congress meets every 5 years. So if it meets and it does not conclude any business, it hands it over to the Governing Council. So the election that will be done will be something the responsibility of the Governing Council. The process that the Governing Council uses to come to a decision, that is an internal party matter.
So what is happening with the executive officer, Mr. Langat?
He's in office. Even yesterday I saw him on KTN, and I talked to him yesterday evening. He's carrying out his duties. I don't think anything else is happening to him except the fact that he's working.
Is he?
Yes, he's working.
His loyalty has been doubted?
Yeah.
Well,
public knowledge.
I don't doubt his loyalty. There are a lot of things in public knowledge which is not in my knowledge, because sometimes the public is much bigger than Anyang'Nyong'o. So maybe. But
Anyang'Nyong'o then must have some intelligence network, which you said the party seems to be lacking intelligence. First, it could not detect that the elections were going to be disrupted. Two, the party does not seem to know that its party CEO, executive director, is being doubted. How is that?
Well, those are elements of knowledge resident in your mind, not in mine.
I'm just questioning the mechanism by which
the
party
that's
is
what I'm saying. That's
so
what I'm
that
saying.
even when Ababu is about to leave, for example, as is being assumed, the party doesn't seem to know until he begins the work.
That's what I'm saying.
This become the character of the party.
Look, you live in a democratic society. You're quite free to believe all kinds of things that you believe, but I don't seem to share them with you. That's the problem. Yeah. So I'm not as worried as you are.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at it this way, Prof. This is a matter of great concern to, of course, country and members of the party. Which comes first for you where you sit? Fixing the party problem, the squabbles, and having a unified party with no contest, or the referendum? Which is going to go first?
They're all very important.
Prioritize.
Because at the moment, they're all very important. The referendum is important. Fixing problems in the party is important. Making that the party is unified is important. I have to multitask as Secretary General and do the three. You may think that is impossible, but I think it is possible.
So they're going to continue simultaneously.
Yeah.
But which one are we going to witness first?
Well, obviously, the referendum is a long-term thing. Yeah. The party leadership is an immediate thing, and we are working on it. I told you the reason why it has delayed is because the activities we have been involved in. But now, I'm telling you that you are going to get the results of the party leadership decision very soon. I can't tell you exactly when, but it's a very urgent matter. The party leadership is very concerned. The party leader is very concerned. I'm very concerned. And the two contesting people for the Secretary General post are very concerned, Babu Namwamba, Agnes Zani. And we are working together. And I'm telling you that very soon you are going to see the outcome of those discussions, well before the referendum.
One of your issues about the referendum is the IEBC, the Electoral Commission. It has conducted many elections after the last elections, the latest being Mathare. And people are asking, are you still having problems with the IEBC having done those elections?
You know, if we hadn't criticized the IEBC, if we hadn't put the IEBC on the alert, it would not have conducted the Mathare by-election the way it did. I am sure of that. The IEBC would have been complacent. It would have still used its funny tricks, and obviously you would have seen a different thing in both Mathare and Bonchari. Okay? But it is precisely because we raised the red flag that the IEBC woke up. But that does not mean that the ills in the IEBC have been cured. I mean, the IEBC is still very much an organization riddled with internal contradictions. The IEBC was terribly infiltrated by the National Security Intelligence Services. Personnel in there were posted to various positions as a result of the influence of NSIS. These things must be sorted out before the next general elections. And we have the facts. And even when, before the elections, we went to meet the IEBC, I did tell them, as Secretary General of the ODM, that if you go to general elections with this kind of structure and personnel you have here, I'm sorry, we are setting up ourselves for a lot of problems. I mean, we did get into problems, and I still believe we will get into problems in general elections if you continue the present character of the IEBC. So the IEBC is not off the hook, as it were. The IEBC is still very much a patient in the general ward, which has been removed from the intensive care unit by our concerns, but we can't believe that it is healthy.
But let's assume the scenario where you go to this referendum and you lose, or the referendum doesn't happen at all because you don't meet the requirements of carrying out the referendum eventually. IEBC will still be in place.
God forbid that should happen. And we hope it doesn't happen.
Or you try to make elections go into 2018, by which time the tenure of those IEBC commissioners will have expired.
Things are not going to happen that way.
Because they'll be in office 2017 by election in November.
But I'm telling you, things are not going to happen that way. You see, look, I've been in this game for very long. I remember in 1988, I sat with somebody in there used to be a little restaurant near K&A. There used to be a supermarket there called K&A.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to K&A anyway. But I sat in that restaurant with one of the Kanu stalwarts who was convincing me that I should stand in the elections in 1988 as a Kanu candidate. And I told him, look, so long as we have a one-party system, I will never stand for elections, because I believe we must have a democratic system. I believe we must get rid of this authoritarian regime, and I will not do so. He told me, look, my friend, Moi and Kanu are going to be there forever. So you'd better just, if you ever want to go to parliament, I said, no way. And I said, sooner rather than later, we are going to have a multi-party system in this country. He took only 2 years, and we did. So I have a very strong iron will and faith in positive change in Kenya. And at this point in time, most people may be very pessimistic that the IEBC is not going to be reformed. I'm very optimistic that it will, because in order to have a democratic system of government, the referee must itself be a proper referee, not a referee that can be blown hither and thither.
Optimism, you know, seems to be founded on pure faith, I would say, rather than the circumstances that I'm seeing in the country. Look, the TNA brigade has pulled out of supporting even, leave alone your referendum, even the governors proposed referendum. That's a huge chunk of, you know, potential support.
Things were worse.
What are the prospects of your referendum? How is it looking?
Let me tell you, I'm telling you this story because things were worse in 1988 as far as getting multi-party system is concerned. The things you are seeing now, these are much smaller problems for the referendum than the problems we had for establishing multi-party democracy. As it were, what you saw yesterday is what I call a passing cloud.
You think so?
Yeah.
How so?
I will bet you my bottom shilling that they are a passing cloud. And call me here in 2 months' time, this very table, mark it, 2 months' time, call me here.
I will do. I'll honor that.
You honor that. 2 months' time, I will be here. We shall be discussing what is the status of the referendum.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, I will be very happy, and you'll be confessing before me that.
All right. Let's look at the footsteps you're making towards that referendum. You are to publish some booklets and whatnot, and go out and begin collecting the signatures. So where are we now with your referendum agenda?
Yeah, the booklets are going to print very soon. The questions are being sharpened. Consultations are going on. We are having meeting of the expert group almost on a daily basis. A lot of things are having behind the limelight, whose results we're going to see soon. So the reason why you're seeing me sitting here very confident is because I know what is happening. And I know that out there in the public, you talked about the public. You know, the governors can say whatever they say in that small place where the TNA leaders met. But I'm just wondering how much they are in real touch with the public. No, just listen to FM stations, what people are saying about the referendum in local languages. I hope you do. I don't speak all Kenyan local language. I speak at least one, and the others can kind of understand a little. But I'm telling you, and I travel a lot around the country, you know, during these campaigns and so on. You know, it's not just standing on the platform and talking, but you go to restaurants, you go to people's homes, people stop you on the way and so on, all over the country. So I kind of have a heartbeat of the Kenyan people about why they want to referendum. So what I saw yesterday, I mean, I saw it, I expected it anyway, yes, because of the kind of talks I've been having with other governors. So it doesn't worry me. I think it's a passing cloud, and we are going to work even much harder. What it tells us is that we have to work very hard, much harder than we thought, to win the referendum.
The same referendum will be conducted by the same IEBC?
Well, so that is a question we're still asking, exactly, just like you are asking it.
Yes.
Yeah. But you and I must continue asking that question, because I'm having a big question whether it should be conducted by this IEBC. We have not answered that question.
The experts have been talking to them.
Yeah, we've been talking. You see, you know, you remember the Vietnam War? Lee Doctor, who was speaking on behalf of the Viet Cong, and Henry Kissinger, who was speaking on behalf of the Americans. They kept on talking, was it in Paris or in Geneva? All the time. But while they were talking, America was bombing Vietnam. We will also keep on talking to IEBC and at the same time keep on bombing them.
So
quite a solution.
So when does the actual referendum campaigning start?
It has started already. I mean, those rallies we're having, that's part of campaign for the referendum. The referendum campaign will happen all the time until we have it.
All right. Let's look at the general performance of ODM, I mean the principal party within the Code Alliance. God Coalition, rather. Still questions about performance, you know, government and performance in the House. This question has kept coming back, even when the majority leader of Jubilee was yesterday. Inability of CORD to perform the role of the opposition in an organized form, to respond to government processes, government initiatives with alternatives. Still, there seems to be a gap there within the
you know, I got very interested that the leader of the majority is much more concerned about the performance of the opposition than the performance of his own government. I mean, this is the first time in history. I've been in parliament since 1993. This is the first time in history I've seen a government which is much more concerned about the performance than the performance. Government is elected to perform, to deliver. Why do they want us to do their work? We were not elected to deliver.
So what is the opposition elected to do?
The opposition is elected to keep the government its toes. And the problem is the government doesn't even have a toe to be kept on. That's the problem. They should find out where they have toes.
The government is doing a lot of things. The other day there were appointments, diplomatic postings, deployments in the government. You've been crying about inclusivity, broad fares and all these things.
But look at those appointments.
And security changes. Now the director of intelligence has gone. Haven't you said, even applauded that, look, the president has finally done something?
But see, it's very interesting. No, it's very interesting. No, we didn't go quiet.
Or it was an event?
No. By the way, it's very interesting. First, that you don't expect the opposition to comment on everything the government does. It would be ridiculous. The opposition must comment on things that make a difference. For example, if you look at the Senate and the National Assembly, be fair to the opposition. The issues they have taken government on are very important. They have taken government on disbursement of funds to the counties, a very important debate that even the governors finally picked up. We picked up on the government on security. If the opposition had not taken a very strong stand on security matters, the government would not have been making these changes. And these records are there. So when the government says that the opposition is not playing its role, and there are records where the opposition has been very tough on the government, in the Senate we have been very tough on the government, and they have come to the Senate to explain these things and even to make certain changes, then really I don't understand what you mean. I mean, telling the opposition that the opposition should give government alternative ways of doing things. No. The opposition should be preparing itself to come into power when they defeat the government. The government is there trying to fulfill its mandate that it claims they are in manifesto. It is that mandate that we must question all the time, not to tell them that, look, government, rather than use this citizens' cap, use the one from KTN. No, that's not our responsibility. That is for it to do.
You're aware that the argument has been put across that, in fact, the reason why you're agitating for referendum is to seek relevance.
Yes.
And to create a platform to get into 2017.
That's one interpretation which I don't agree with. We are calling for a... No.
That you have failed to perform in the House because you have no issues, you have no agenda, so to speak.
No.
On the things the government is doing.
That's a very self-serving. That's a very self-serving kind of position, because that is a position that Duale would say. In fact, now you are becoming a Duale.
No,
on your side.
That is an opinion that exists in the public.
Exactly.
That's and I have to present that. I have to represent that opinion.
But what I'm saying,
whether I believe in it or not,
you have to present it, and that's why I'm saying you're becoming a Duale, because Duale would say exactly the same thing. You see,
we are putting what Duale would have said to you because you're not here with him.
Yes. You're not here. We represented Duale and everybody
else. You are representing Duale, so,
yes.
So I'm telling you that then it is quite wrong.
Yeah.
What did you say again?
That you are using the referendum to create relevance for yourself and to set yourself as a platform to mobilize for 2017, because effectively in engaging government with alternative policies and agenda, you are vacant, you are bankrupt of ideas. That's really the charge.
Very interesting that we are bankrupt of ideas. But we who are bankrupt of ideas are the same people who have said that, look, we need a referendum, which is an idea. And we have said we need a referendum. You see, you can't say it's not an idea.
That idea is self-serving for 2017, not in advancing the country's, solving the country's problems now.
No, hold on.
And enhancing governance by proposing alternatives.
But of course, you see,
yes.
you are putting the cat before the horse. Okay. First, an idea, we must have a referendum. Why do you want to have a referendum? Because there are certain shortcomings in the Constitution. Why are there shortcomings in the Constitution? Because the same people were in government before they got in the government, and they opposed the present Constitution. They said 20% of that Constitution was bad. We now want to correct that 20% that they themselves said. We say, fine, time is come, because in history, if after Constitution reform, changes are usually made be within the first 3 years. If you look at the history of the US, South Africa, and so on. So Kenya can't be that different. And we have pointed out some of these things that should be changed in the interest of the public. For example, if you look at the structure of the legislature, obviously, the structural legislature in terms of the Senate and the National Assembly, something is wrong there.
Yeah, there are contradictions and difficulties.
Contradictions which we need to correct. Yeah. If you look at the disbursement of funds to the counties, something is wrong there, because in South Africa, for example, about 55% of the national budget goes to the provinces. So, because it is in the counties where people live, where production takes place, that is where investment should be, not in bureaucracy, which is what we're doing. If you look at the money securities run in this country, something is wrong there, and we need to change that. So we have a whole list of things that are wrong, which we summarize in our 13 points, which the people like you refuse to read, and we wish you could read them so that you don't ask these questions.
No, these questions have not been, in fact, maybe let me advance this discussion further. You narrowed down your referendum questions or areas to basically about 4, devolution, inclusivity, narrowed down. But why people say this is an opportunity, you're looking at the populist issues so you can ride on them for the election, is because, in my view, now representing myself, there are very fundamental flaws within that constitution, or clauses, articles, which we have been unable to enforce as a country. For example, the 1/3 representation rule. In your conversations, you're not trying to tackle the rigidities and conflicts within the constitution, but you've taken on the populist ideas which concern with the public. Yet this is a fundamental opportunity, if I may say so, that we are creating for us to relook at the constitution.
Very good.
How deep is your referendum or your attempt to reform it?
Very good, because you see, that's why we launched the thing at Fungamano House, so that everybody can come and listen to the issues we are raising. And we have created something called the National Forum, where everybody will be welcome, so that if you think that there's some certain things that should be in the referendum questions, you're welcome, because we say we don't have all the answers. I mean, we are not God. We want you to come over and give us some ideas. So these ideas, if you really think there's a certain fundamental, painful thing you want to correct, please bring us the ideas. We shall put them there, because this is a Kenyan thing, not just CORD thing. That's why the movement is called Okoa Kenya Movement. By the way, Okoa Kenya has now taken the thing from us. We have, as it were, surrendered our concerns to Okoa Kenya, where you are welcome to Okoa Kenya, so that Kenyan can be saved by all of us. So your ideas are welcome. Don't blame me when the referendum question come and you have not included yours and say, I excluded you. That's why we believe in the politics of inclusion.
But you've already framed, I mean, the booklet that is about to go out to advance the referendum for campaign has not taken stock of all these, have you had opportunity for others to input?
That's why we created a national
ideas.
referendum. You see, the booklet, when the booklet comes, the booklet will actually provide you with an opportunity to write in your ideas. That's why we believe in inclusivity. We don't want to exclude anybody, because this is a Kenyan thing. We believe that we must Okoa Kenya as Kenyans.
One of the issues you are raising is about money that is going to be taken to counties. You want 45% of the current audited books. There has been an argument that Ababu Namwamba, being the chairman of Public Accounts Committee, has not pushed for these books to be brought so that they're updated.
Let me tell you something. How Parliament works. I was chairman of Public Investment Committee for 3 years in the mid-90s. And my counterpart in government was the Auditor General Corporations, auditing corporations. As chairman of the Public Investment Committee, I cannot influence the speed with which, I could not influence the speed with which the Auditor General Corporations audited his books. What happened is that both the Auditor General Corporations then and the Auditor General audit their books, take them to the relevant ministries, in this case the relevant committee in Parliament, and then they're laid in Parliament. The committee of Parliament, be it Public Accounts Committee or Public Investments Committee, only gets possession of accounts once they're laid on the table of Parliament. Before they're laid, that is an executive matter. That's why there's something called separation of powers. You cannot, as the legislature, march to the Auditor General and say, I want the books now. You wait until the Auditor General lays the books on the table of Parliament, then you act. Now, if the Auditor General is delayed, your work will obviously be delayed. So we have been crying ever since the 90s for the government to do auditing in time so that we are up to date. It has not happened. Yesterday, in the Senate Public Accounts and Investment Committee of the Senate, which looks at the public accounts of counties, we were people from the Auditor General's office, and we asked them, why haven't we seen this? We wanted a special audit of certain things. They told us, look, we are very willing to do these special audits, but we don't have the money to do it. Secondly, the institution of the Auditor General is so small in terms of personnel. If you go to the UK in London, you'll find a huge building for the Auditor General with all kinds of departments to help them. In Kenya, unfortunately, we have limited the institution of the Auditor General to a rather small institution that cannot do its work as fast as Parliament wants.
The recent appointments and deployments come right on the heels of your crusade for inclusivity and whatnot. What is your party's view, your own view about those changes that were made? Do they answer to one of your queries that are driving you?
Not really.
They're going to be taken to Parliament. Those nominations.
Yes, they're coming to Parliament.
They will come to Parliament. You see, we also don't want to put the cart before the horse. We want the things to come to Parliament so that we interrogate them intelligently. I'm a member of the Senate. The things will go to the National Assembly. And the Senate, we will definitely interact with our colleagues and put our input. If the government insists, notwithstanding the parliamentary input, to go on with some of the appointments that are obviously not inclusive, then we shall take steps after that. You see, the government will say, look, we have made this, these are our proposals. The government can easily argue now, these are our proposals, we are bringing them to Parliament.
Yes.
Why are you in a hurry
to
discuss this thing before we bring them to you? You know, we are civilized human beings.
All right, we're coming to the end of this show, but let me just ask you the towering question. The governors seem to be, well, if I may hazard a guess, their referendum initiative seems to be tottering on the brink of collapse, that it may not go ahead. Because that's the chairman, Nderiru Gachagua, told us a couple of days ago, if some things are granted that they're calling for in the referendum by the executive, they can sit and agree on those things. They don't have to have a referendum. Is it all lost that we must go to a referendum, or is there still room for engagement with the government and this country? And is CORD still exploring that option that we can talk and sort out some of the demands, and then maybe postpone some things to a future time when the referendum will be necessary, in my words?
You know why I'm laughing? I like your phrase on the brink of collapse. You have used it more than 4 times. I don't know why you think everything is going to collapse. No. Nothing is on the brink of collapse. You see, look at it this way. The president...
I mean, if half of the governors are pulled out, that's really...
You see, the president has been dead against the referendum. You know that. And
Jubilee is completely against.
Not Jubilee. I would say the president, because I talked to Jubilee members of the Senate. Okay, so grant me the privilege of knowing a little bit more about Jubilee as a member of the Senate. And as Secretary General of the ODM, because I talked to others. People value these cross-party discussions, by the way. And I know it's not entire Jubilee. And I know that some of those governors, what they said yesterday as a result of that TNA meeting was for public consumption, was for the immediate. I know that. So things are not on the brink of collapse. I would say that there are contradictions in Jubilee. We are waiting for URP to meet today. I think they're going to meet today. Let's wait what they say. But you see, the interesting thing is that you know that there are certain things that need to be fixed in the Constitution through a referendum, and you are ready to come to the National Forum to express those ideas, I hope, because you expressed a concern here. The same is true with a lot of people in Jubilee. They know that there are things wrong with the Constitution, and they are waiting to express the ideas in the National Forum, which we have created. So notwithstanding what happened yesterday, I'm waiting for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow to see how the public show yesterday still holds.
Okay. And about yours, that was the principal question.
About
whether there are still avenues and you're still exploring possibility that you can engage on the issues you're raising without taking them to a referendum. If the president calls a caucus and says, let's talk about these things,
there are certain issues.
Is that opportunity still available?
If you look at the Constitution, there are certain issues that cannot be settled just by discussion. The Constitution itself puts a threshold of things that can be sorted out through parliamentary decision.
Yeah.
It also puts a threshold on things that have to go to the people. Remember, the first article of the Constitution says that sovereignty relies in the people. It can be expressed through or delegated through Parliament and others, or it can be exercised directly. There are certain changes in the Constitution where the sovereign power to make changes resides in the people in a referendum. So we are saying we should not wait until too long. This is the time for the people to exercise their sovereign power, change these things so that we can have a much more democratic constitution.
So there is no room for engagement?
No,
what I mean is there room for engagement that may yield in the deferment or cancellation of your push for a referendum?
No, there's room for engagement in discussing all kinds of things regarding governance. But the Constitution does not allow you to make certain changes in the Constitution without a referendum. So if you are going to say today that, look, let us just continue discussing these things but not change them through a referendum, that itself will be undemocratic.
There have been arguments that even if you went through a referendum and you say whatever you want to say about IEBC, you have to go through the process of disbanding it, which is stipulated in the law.
Yeah, I know. That's why I told you that we must discuss around the table like Lee Doctor and Kissinger were doing and continue bombing the IEBC. You understood that?
All right, Prof. Anything prophetic that you'd like to say here, that we will hold you accountable 6 months down the line, that could or ODM or referendum-wise?
Well, I think the thing to do is that we just must have faith in democracy and have faith in the people of Kenya to bring around democratic changes. It may be a painful process. Sometimes we may have doubts. We may even doubt ourselves whether we can do it. We may sometimes swallow pills of pessimism bigger than we should, but I think we should continue having faith in democratic change and in the people of Kenya.
And democratic change happened in March last year.
Democratic change is never a conclusive process. It is always a work in progress.
That's why you have to do campaigns after elections?
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, that's Professor Anyang'Nyong'o, the Caretaker Secretary General leading the Caretaker Committee of the Orange Democratic Movement. We're discussing CORD's agenda, the referendum, and the ODM, the state of ODM. It may be multicolored, but it's still an orange, it seems. Thank you for watching Power Breakfast.